Let's go see how fast we can go in this car. In 1988, my parents bought a brand new Mitsubishi Sigma V6 5-speed. I was 13 years old at the time, and I was just ecstatic about this car because it was pretty fast for the day. For a sedan, it did 0 to 60 in 8.5 seconds, which back then was pretty decently quick. And this was really the car that started my obsession with Mitsubishi. You know, little did I know that later on I would establish a world-renowned brand revolving around Mitsubishis, but this is the first car that really turned me on to those cars. So I was really awestruck with this car, and I would draw pictures of Mitsubishi symbols, put it in my locker. You know, kids would make fun of me because back then, you know, who knew about Mitsubishi? Nobody. This is pre-Mitsubishi Eclipse, GSX, and all that stuff. But I loved this car because it was fast, and my dad was a little bit of a hot foot, so he would drag race people, and it was a good amount of fun. So as I got a little older, I think I was maybe just turning 14, my dad would teach me how to drive on this car. And so on Saturday mornings, he would let me drive it to Burger King, and we would go and have breakfast together, and it was good fun. This is about 1989 at the time. Probably not the wisest decision to let a 14-year-old drive, but you know, that's what he did. So enter high school. I started to get a little more ballsy. At 14 years old, I started taking the car out at night. My parents would always go out to dinner, and they would take a long time, and for whatever reason, they would leave the Mitsubishi and drive the Buick Century, leaving me the keys, which was a horrible idea. So I started taking out the car, and I learned how to power shift, and I would go out and just race the car around for 20, 30 minutes, just leaving enough time to get home, let it cool off, so they'd be none the wiser. So that went on for quite a bit, probably far too long. Somehow I never got caught. But in 1990, I was 15 years old. I'm getting closer to getting my driver's license, but my best friend, Martin, had gotten his driver's license. He was a year ahead of me. And one night, my parents went out, as usual, in the Buick Century, and they left the keys to the Mitsubishi Sigma. So I called up Martin. I said, "Hey, Martin, let's go see how fast we can go in this car." There was a long stretch of two-lane highway called Northwest Highway, Route 14 in Mount Prospect, Illinois, where I grew up. So we decided to take the car out, and we're going to go see how fast we could go on this stretch of road. Now, it's probably, where we started is probably about a mile or so, maybe a little less. First things first, though, we go check where the cop always sits, kind of at the end, make sure that there's no cop there. So we roll down there, no cop, fantastic. Turn the car around, drive back to the stoplight, make a U-turn, and we go for it. And Martin is driving, he's just rowing the gears, first, second, third, fourth, and we're going for it. And you know, I felt a little safer. My dad had a radar detector in the car, so we knew you know, if there was a cop, we'd probably hear it, and we'd checked, you know, this is foolproof. What could possibly go wrong? So we passed the 100-mile mark, and we're getting towards the end where the cop sits normally. Well, lo and behold, the radar detector gets pinned, and what seems like an eternity, I can still picture it to this day, just looking at that the red and blue lights on the roof and the black and white Mount Prospect police car that just clocked us at 105 miles an hour. I swear I could see the whites in his eyes. And we blow past this cop at 105. So maybe it would have been smarter to keep your foot in it, but you know, we're not very smart. So we immediately hammer the brakes, and it takes us probably a block to get this thing slowed down, and there's a hard right turn, and we take that turn, hard right turn, hard left turn. I mean, we're driving this thing. I mean, I'm surprised the wheels didn't come off. The tires were probably folded over. I wouldn't be surprised if we curbed the wheels. We're on it so hard. So we ditch into this neighborhood, and we're just blasting through this neighborhood. Turn off the lights, making a right turn, left turn, just trying to throw this cop off. And we only saw like a glimpse of his blue and red lights one time in this neighborhood, and somehow we got away. So we get the car back to my parents' house, park it in the driveway, and now, I mean, the brakes are on fire. The car is just like steaming hot. If my parents came home at this point, like, it would be a dead giveaway that we were just out doing something. And being 15, 16-year-old kids, we're like, what if he got the license plate? So we are freaking out. So my thought is like, well, I can't pull the car in the driveway, or in the garage, so let's leave it in the driveway. We got to get the smell out of the car anyway. Let's wash the car. So I'm washing the car, and this is maybe not too abnormal because I really cared about these cars. My parents knew that, so I would wash the cars on occasion. So I'm out there washing the car, trying to cool off the wheels, try to get the smell of the brakes to go away. And around the corner, I see the Buick Century pulling up. Martin is still there. He dives in the bushes and runs home back in the neighborhood to go home, to leave me to explain why the brakes are smelling. And my parents pulled in the driveway, pulled in the garage, kind of said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just felt like washing the car." "Oh, okay." My mom went inside. My dad stayed out in the garage, had a cigarette. Kind of said, "Okay, I'm gonna go in." So he went in the house. I finished washing the car and kind of letting the thing air out. I pulled it in the garage, not knowing what I was gonna walk into, but I walked back in the house, and my parents were none the wiser. And in fact, they still don't know to this day, at 42 years old, that I did this. But what makes it even greater is I still own the car. After it was my father's car, it became my car in my later years in high school once I had a driver's license. I had the car at the beginning of college. I bought brand new BBS Moto wheels back in 1994 for the car. I got 15-inch because I couldn't afford the 16-inch tires. But I've still got the car. I've fully restored it. It's right back at its former glory. I've got an old school stereo in it, and it's just the way it was when I was in high school. Fully rebuilt from engine, the transmission and everything. And when I was rebuilding this car, so many of my guys at AMS were saying, like, let's put a 4G63 in it from Mitsubishi Eclipse, and we could, put it up to 500 horsepower, all this. And I said, I am leaving it stock because when I drive this car, I want to feel like I'm 16 years old again. And that's exactly what I did.
If you like that story, it's time to make one of your own. Extreme Experience puts you in the driver's seat of some of the world's best supercars at over 20 racetracks coast to coast, with no speed limits, no shifting restrictions, and no governors. Head to the link to choose your supercar, find a racetrack near you, and start making a story of your own. Extreme Experience. It's your turn.